Hello again everyone and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. We've got another video now of the big Dolph himself, but this time versing Ragnar. Now, last match unfortunately did not go too well for Dolfy, but it was a great game regardless, where we managed to see some T3 actually take center stage in our 1v1. So if you haven't seen video from last week, don't forget to go check it out. And so this week we have Ragnar in the top left-hand corner here as blue, building a vehicle factory for Cortex. And as we mentioned, Dolfy here in red, it's Cortex again, also going vehicles. Now both players have basically a mirrored start here. So you can see this map is mirrored in the diagonal. So I will draw on the map now as you see here. The map is basically mirrored along here. So as you can see, these metal points here along the bottom left hand corner are the same in the top right. So what we're going to end up seeing here is both players are, as we mentioned in most 1v1s, move towards the middle and try and contest each other. And Dolfy trying to fake out his opponent here by basically pretending his arm bots, which is not the case because he's Cortex vehicles, which is complete opposite. But regardless of that, we will see Dolfy here playing his best to try and beat Ragnar. Now, we know Ragnar is one of the best players in Beyond All Reason, and he has won many 1v1 tournaments. We will see if he can stand up to the legend that is Dolfy. And Ragnar currently on the leaderboard is quite high. He is the 4th highest player in 1v1s. Unfortunately, Dolfy is currently down in 12th. But you got to climb that ladder. And the only way you're going to do that is by playing people better than you. And so hopefully we'll see Dolfy raise higher in the leaderboard by beating Ragnar in this game. Both players getting some initial scouts out, but with the same as the last map we saw Dolfy playing, the map is so large here that it's going to take a while for those units to get across. And by the time you've done that, you can quite easily have some defensive forces. Which we do see the first scout that came out from Ragnar is only just arrived. And Dolfy has plenty of units there to defend. It doesn't have to worry. Now, this initial phase is obviously quite slow. Not really much happening here. So, while we're waiting for this, why don't you just scroll down a little bit. Hit that subscribe button. And also at the same time, why don't you tell me who you think is going to win this game before we get to the action. We see Dolfy here building a radar on the hill. Very good placement. Obviously, if you're not aware and you're just seeing Bar for the first time, radars in Bar have line of sight mechanics. So things like hills and such will block their vision. As we can see here when selecting this radar, the hill just south of Dolfy's base is going to be blocking that little sliver, as well as this big hill over here is being completely blocked. So having radars on higher ground is very important. Now Dolfy doing a good job here at microing these scouts to just clear up Ragnar's early harass scouts. And is slowly expanding with incisors here just to protect these initial expanding forces. Now also, if you're not aware, incisors are actually very good at dealing with shurikens, which is the paralyzing drone from Cortex, which is from the air factory. The incisors pretty much have a guaranteed hit chance with their lasers. And so as long as you've got enough incisors to counter the amount of shurikens, they generally come out on top. So, and they're pretty cheap as well, and quite fast, can outrange grunts, and especially obviously pawns as well. We do see a early armed metal extractor being built on the south side. The intention of that is just to kind of secure that bottom flank. This will stop any early harass. And as opposed to the last game here, we're seeing Dolfy just purely using his commander's build power for the factory. Rather than in the last game, we saw him move his commander very much to the front to kind of hold that. The difference is here, it's kind of hard to have a front. There's no real like chokeholds as such because it's such a vast open map. So using your commander's build power is quite a good idea. We can see Ragnar here has also done the same. You can see the amount of things he's built with his commander here just by having his commander right next to this factory. All of these things have been built inside the commander's build range here, so he hasn't had to move at all. Ragnar very good at keeping his commander not moving as much as possible to try and get as efficient as possible. Now, Ragnar does have quite an aggressive playstyle and does like to try and contain his enemy, which we are seeing starting to take place already as Dolfy is kind of being hemmed into this corner with these forces at the top. The amount of incisors he has to counter that will not be enough, but he has built an LLT there, which will do fine to stop the push here of Ragnar. As you can see how quickly these incisors do chunk down things if they can shoot them. 1-for-1 trade there, but obviously Dolfy will get the reclaim of 70 metal. That is not the end of the world. And Dolfy actually is marching his comm forward. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if we end up seeing like a forward factory in the middle here. Whether it will be bots for the res bots maybe, or just maybe another vehicle factory, it's hard to tell. The excessive use of these armed metal extractors on this south side will force Ragnar to have to commit a higher quantity of units to raid on this bottom side. However, from personal experience, incisors can deal them pretty well if there's enough of them. So they're useful, but they have what, 1,400 health as opposed to 100. But they're basically the same cost. I think if I was speaking to someone, I can't remember who it was now, it might have been Ragnar actually, who said that the armed metal extractors is the cost equivalent of you building a normal metal extractor and then an LLT. But it's technically more micro efficient because obviously you're only building one thing. But then obviously it takes longer for you to start getting that metal income. So it depends, you need to weigh it up as to whether you need the defense as a priority or do you want the metal as a priority. If you want the defense as a priority, building the armed metal extractor is going to be a better bet. And those forces are able to stop the build there of Dolfy. But right now, it is very fluid. We do see the armed metal extractors also being built here by Ragnar on basically the same side as Dolfy is building them, but just the opposite. And as we can see here, these 5 incisors. Let's see how quickly they can take this down with another laser tower here. And seeing as soon as you get flanking damage, it only managed to kill 2 incisors before it died. So it doesn't take much to kill them. And the battle of the century. Engineer versus the incisor. Oh, the outplay there by the incisor getting out the repair range. And Ragnar only just noticing and pulling his engineer back. That would have been great fun if Incisor managed to get that in the end. Dolfy actually pushing really far forward on this south side here with his commander. Meanwhile, again, Ragnar still just in his base with his commander. Ragnar somehow still keeping that engineer alive. Yep. And he has 2 very injured engineers now on this front side. That is, yep, going to get built beforehand. And even 2 incisors are able to yeah, are able to actually take out one of these armed exploiters. So whether they are worth it is hard to say. Incisors are just very good at dealing with them. See actually another harass here from Ragnar. This early stage of harass is both ways at the moment. And yeah, again, one exploiter for two instigators. Or sorry, incisors. Instigator is a very different unit. And Dolfy with a vehicle factory on this south side. Very forward position here. We're going to see maybe some artillery out in order to slowly whittle down those exploiters. No, instead apparently pounders are being built. So at the moment, our kind of positioning here is actually like this. Dolfy with about 75% of map control right now. This top side is very fluid though. You could argue instead it's actually more like this. But Dolfy still with advantage right now. However, saying that, economy difference here is that all this entire section Dolfy has not capped off. Whereas every single metal extractor in Ragnar's half is captured. Another two engineers are going to die here from Ragnar. It's not good. He's losing quite a lot of engineers now. That's 4 engineers down at least on that north side. And these pounders are actually moving very far forward there. And yeah, so what is Ragnar going to do about it? He's built a second vehicle factory purely to pump out more tanks and is actually switching to brutes. Don't necessarily know if pounders was the right choice here. Don't get me wrong, they're very good against incisors, but they're very, very slow, and means they just take a bunch of free damage. Now, these incisors on the north side are going to get cleared up. Most of these forces are just grouping up in the middle. Not really much going on there at all. We see another little scouty boy going around the side here, just trying to get a little bit of damage. I think this LLT will get some shots off at it, maybe kill it. Or it just survives with 100 health. And that actually may end up getting a little bit of damage. He is trying to send a brute off, but it could probably get reclaimed pretty quickly. Dolfy again with his mines. He really loves his mine layers. And here we see brutes here pushing down the rocket trucks. That will be quite effective at dealing with those if he keeps microing them. Meanwhile, we also see a substantial push in the middle. Brutes supported by incisors. Although Dolfy lost a bit of positioning in the middle, I would say that he's actually come out on top here, forcing back units away from the factory and his commander. He maybe does need to start thinking about the middle section though, because if those brutes break through on the middle, they've basically just got a straight shot to his base there. And incisors aren't really going to do much against that. Saying that, we did see in a game recently that with enough incisors you can quite easily take out a brute force. It just requires you to get close enough to flank them. And as long as Dolfy can do that, then brutes, no brutes, don't matter. He doesn't quite have the quantity of incisors though in the middle necessary. And Ragnar actually starting to get a substantial amount of units, relocating all of his forces to the south side where his commander is. Is he maybe going to go in on the commander here? Dolfy running his commander into a hole. And that factory is going to die. Now, the one thing with his commander being in this hole is that he's got just a straight line to D-gun. Is he going to cloak, though? He hasn't cloaked yet. That forward factory does get destroyed, though. But meanwhile, Dolfy uses this time to hit the base of Ragnar here, getting some significant economy damage. Quite a lot of windmills, not windmills, solars are going up in smoke. A couple of mexes. Unfortunately, he doesn't get too much in the way of main economy buildings. Get 2 construction turrets. No factories have been lost, though. And Sizer's coming in as well. Ragnar getting attacked from all sides. Is Dolfy going to go in on the commander here? Great D-guns coming out from Ragnar. Commander is at 13% health and manages to survive just on 13% health. His base devastated by the onslaught of Dolfy, and now it's time for Ragnar to return the favor. But unfortunately, I think this is going to get mopped up before it gets close enough. And that is a massive setback for Ragnar. And we'll see if he's able to come back from this. Dolphy's commander still in that bottom corner. A few more brutes going up to attack Ragnar, but they're not going to be able to do anything. These are also going to get mopped up pretty quickly here. This force of brutes may get some decent damage off, but will get mopped up fairly quickly as well. And meanwhile, Dolphy's commander sits in a hole. And spectators are not a fan, apparently. Surprisingly, no plans to move his commander. I have seen, actually, I think it was Taku do this. Build a bot lab here. Because obviously bot labs can traverse. And you could build a bot lab there and just completely cause mayhem to your opponent. But that's not what we're seeing right yet, at least. Now, we do see shurikens out, which will help mop up any of this kind of harassing action going on. And those last few brutes are getting cleaned up. Now, Ragnar, bit of a tough spot here, lost a substantial amount of economy. And as we actually check economy quickly here, Ragnar is basically 9k metal behind right now, which is a big deal. That is a lot of metal to be behind on. He does have a lot of reclaim in his base, of course, which is 4k metal of reclaim in his base. Whether he's going for the resurrects instead to get more forces up on the front, that also would not surprise me. And yeah, right now, Dolfy just trying to get more harass on the go to try and starve Ragnar out, get rid of all of his economy so that he can't come back from this. Ragnar is not going to let that happen, however, and pushes straight into the defensive line of Dolfy, forcing him to bring his forces back. But with the shurikens coming in here, Ragnar has no forces yet to deal with them. The missile trucks are coming out and are starting to make an appearance, and actually have now dealt with all of the shurikens. Are we going to see bombers coming out? No, still more shurikens. With the amount of missile trucks in there now, I don't know if that's the right play. And surprisingly, Ragnar still actually with the unit advantage right now. Dolphy's commander about to leave his tiny hole and decides, nope, I'm going back in my hole. And has he seen it? No, he hasn't. Now, this is very risky of Dolfy. Very, very risky. Which is exactly why he's positioning his forces here on the southern side of the attack, rather than like where you would expect him to, like in the middle, to stop him pushing towards his base. Dolfy desperately needs to push more units out. He's definitely on the losing side of this attack so far. He's not able to deal with these. All of the tanks that were sent are starting to be resurrected, which is why this is causing him so problem. And we are going to see the same thing again. Dolfy deciding to go all in on the attack instead. Is Ragnar going to react, go on the defensive, or is he going to go on his own attack? It looks like he's going on his own attack. Is this about to be a base race? Can't really keep track of both. Dolfy does redirect his new spawned forces in a defensive position. He has got mines starting to be built. But this is a straight sweep through the middle. Dolphy's forces are going to reach the base first. Mines going off, dealing a substantial amount of damage to Ragnar's tanks. At the same time, Shuriken's going in, stopping the laser towers. We're going to see a big D-gun there. Ragnar takes out a substantial amount of tanks. And those are also going on the south side here. The difference is that Dolfy does not have his commander here to assist. And this is not looking good for Dolphy's base. The Shurikens maybe should have been used in defense instead. And a lot of economy damage is going to take place in Dolphy's base. Saying that, at the same time, a large amount of economy damage also taking place in Ragnar's base. One factory destroyed. But two factories probably destroyed here from on Dolphy's side. So, that factory, 3% health. Yep, both factories and basically the entirety of Dolphy's base goes up in smoke. This is a tough one. Both players basically lost all of their forces. Now, economy change has got to switch things up. The difference is that Dolphy was in a pretty good position here, already starting to produce units on this flank here. But he is sending most of those forces back and has not had a chance to regroup yet. Ragnar, already having a bunch of res bots, has already resurrected a lot of stuff and has a lot of units on the field already. Meanwhile, Ragnar still hasn't been mopped up inside of Dolphy's original starting base, and all of the energy of Dolphy has basically gone. Dolphy massively energy stalling right now, and this is not looking good for Dolphy. He was in such a strong position, but unfortunately was not able to do enough with that last attack. The great D-guns from Ragnar may have just turned the tide of this battle. Definitely not enough tanks here to stop this. Also, his commander not in a position to engage with that either. Down here building energy. If he pushes towards this factory, Dolphy is going to be without a factory. More units coming in from the north here. Dolphy's last remaining bastion of hope in this corner. Come on, Dolphy. We believe in you. Missile trucks being used here to hit the LLTs at range. And all of these res bots just reclaiming all of these tanks that are on the field. Sending them right back to Dolphy. And here comes the push. Ragnar goes in. Actually, surprisingly, does not manage to break through the defenses. Enough construction turrets here to keep those double LLTs repaired. And that forces Ragnar back momentarily. But look at the quantity of resbots. We see 25 resbots from Ragnar. Just getting everything up as soon as he can. Now, if Dolphy could do that and get all of his economy back, that would be substantial. But unfortunately, he is not doing that yet. And to be fair, even if he did, Ragnar has a straight shot to just finish off anyway. And is Dolfy now calling a GG? He is starting to get resbots out, but unfortunately it may be too late. With all of his energy just gone. Yeah, the quantity of resbots that are coming out is just... everything is getting resurrected. Ragnar becoming the scavenger horde. Resurrecting everything. And Dolfy is not able to contest. One good D-gun on this army here. Completely turn it. It is going straight towards his commander. But he doesn't have an energy to D-gun though. Oh, that is big D-guns. A large amount of brutes there. Go up. And get obliterated. And that was a sizable force of Ragnar's forces there. But resbots, they are just resurrecting everything in that area. And there's a lot of tanks there. Dolfy trying to do the same. It is working so far. He does have the advantage of having construction turrets there to heal some of his units as well, but it'll be interesting to see if he can pull this back. Quickly switching back over to Ragnar's base. He has rebuilt most of what he's lost. He's still only on the one vehicle factory, one bot lab. Just purely producing resbots out of the bot lab. Unfortunately, I think, there we go. Is Dolfy actually calling it? He hasn't actually resigned yet, but it does look like he is very close. The first attack was, what, 18%, I think he said? So quite close to being dead. But unfortunately, not enough. The second attack, also very good. Just a shame that he lost so many units to the D-gun. And that basically just managed to turn the tide. He wasn't able to defend his own base. And we do see now Ragnar going in on Dolphy's commander. Dolfy is pretty much happy to call the game by the looks of it. And well played both players though. That was a good game so far. Maybe they are not looking to just surrender. I mean, he is starting to get his base back here, but Dolfy just doesn't have units. That's his issue. He's unable to get enough units to stay alive long enough to contest this fight. It's good that Dolfy just hasn't resigned though. He's willing to kind of stick it out. Because to be fair, the only way you get better is by playing. You always give in as soon as you think you've lost, then you're never going to work it out. And we saw a recent, well, I say recent, a little while ago, there was the 3v3 where Taku's team was pretty much guaranteed to lose. So he did a Hail Mary bombing run and ended up winning the game. So, I mean, it's not over until your commander's dead. There is 9k metal in this little small area here. That is a lot of metal. Ah. That will do it, though. I was about to say, where is all of Ragnar's forces? They're over here, actually cleaning up what's left of Dolphy's economy. And with Dolphy losing that much economy, it's pretty much going to be guaranteeing game over for Dolphy, as he's just left in this corner with basically nothing. Ragnar with a substantial economy advantage right now. He is getting Reclaim, but we saw it steady there for about 78, 80 to 50. That is not a lot. And the red spots do go up die very quickly here, but now with the artillery there as well, I can hit right into the factories. And I don't see Dolphy bringing this back, unfortunately. He is trying his best. desperately trying to just get more energy production on the go. This is going to cause some issues. Ah, interesting. He's trying to get Tech 2. To be fair, that might be what's needed. Ragnar has not yet gone Tech 2. So we will see. We do see a good sizable attack here. And this is a lot of advanced solar here. If he does manage to take out all that advanced solar, that is going to be a substantial energy hit. But unfortunately, he has to pull back before then. Otherwise, risk losing all of his tanks. Dolfy trying to get a bit more map control back. Unfortunately, he's just started rebuilding over here, and then more tanks came that way and just wiped it all out again. And he does actually manage to get a Tech 2 out. Azar as well, of all things, will be great at killing all of those res bots. Pop. All the res bots completely destroyed. Although that is going to cause quite a bit of friendly fire. Oh, does actually manage to take them out. Quite weird. Tsar is an interesting choice. He really likes the Tsar. I don't know if a Banisher would have been better. Banisher costs a lot more energy though, and energy is what he's struggling with. Costs less metal though, which is the key thing. Dolphy's commander still in a fairly decent spot. That 1 pounder manages to get by and takes out some construction turrets there, which is not good. The Tsar is at half health. This is the thing, the Tsar takes so many shots to kill anything. You know, the Resbot's desperately trying to get some more tanks resurrected. Which, surprisingly, with the quantity he's got, doesn't take long to do. The Tsar pushing forward, trying to get this stuff killed on the front line, but the Tsar goes down. And the Tech 2 factory here is actually at 13% health. 7. And with that, Dolphy calls GG. So it was a good game. Dolphy had really good raids, did a substantial amount of damage. But Ragnar called his bluff on that second attack, and rather than rushing to defend himself, decided, stuff it, I'm going to push as well. And unfortunately, the damage Ragnar was able to do was more than what Dolphy did. And with that, unfortunately, Dolphy was not able to recover. But well played, both players. There's a reason why these players are, you know, in the top 20 of the game. They are great, amazing players. So if you've enjoyed watching this, don't forget to hit subscribe. If you got a replay you want me to stream, don't forget to send it over to me. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.